Bad weather causes damage to several homes and businesses in New Providence.
When I got up this morning and I came out, half of the roof was gone.
Forecasters explain what happened. We sit down with independent candidates who explain why Bahamians should stray away from party politics. North Eleuthera residents excited about progress at Three Island Dock.
It really can be a nice setup when it's finished.
Plus, it's World Earth Day. I'm Nakia DeVoe, and this is NB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to NB12 Weekend. It's a pleasure to have you with us this Sunday evening. People who live in the Malcolm Road area were scrambling this morning to complete makeshift repairs to their homes and businesses after strong winds and rain caused severe damage. Residents say they were taken off guard by the storm and were not given a warning, and now they're left trying to figure out how to get things back to normal. Here's our Paige Ferguson with more.
Some residents of southeastern New Providence woke up this morning to a big surprise when they found that their roofs had been blown off because of that big storm last night. Today, utility lines were still down, and officials said they hope to have everything up and running by the end of the night. But you can see community members gather together to help their neighbors put the pieces of their lives back together.
The storm passed over the Bahamas during the early morning hours overnight. It showed up on the radar as heavy winds and rains in forecasts, but residents said they did not expect what was coming. Celeste Ware's roof was blown off while she and her family slept last night. She said she woke up at about 2:30 in the morning to a loud, windy sound, so she and her husband went to check it out.
I heard a noise like bam, and so I told him, I said, come from the window, this breeze is too strong. But we didn't know it was a tornado, but we thought it might have been a tornado, but we wasn't sure. And then we decided to come out the room. And when we went out the room, we went into the hallway of the house. I'm going to show you inside. We look up in the sky, it's like, oh my God, the roof is gone. So it's like a mixed emotion. I didn't really carry on or like I was crazy with it, whatever, but it was a mixed emotion.
You're just surprised and also devastated at the same time.
It's just when people say mixed emotion, I understand what they're saying now. You're not sad, you're not happy, but you're just in between. So you just have to handle the situation that has occurred.
Just down the street south of her, Derek Roll said he witnessed the windows on the western side of his home just blow off before his eyes.
On the west side of my home right there, I lost about 3 windows. They were flying branches from a big tree right over. Just came over and smashed right in.
What was going through your mind as you saw this happen to your house?
Well, right away I thought it was just a regular thunderstorm or something because there was some lightning, thundering and stuff. And then when I looked outside, I saw the trees were really carrying on bad. It must have been high-speed winds. And then I saw branches flying, so immediately I moved away from the windows.
And down the street and across the road, Johnny Johnson's convenience store also suffered severe damage. However, he said he was happy that it was mostly caused by wind and there wasn't any water damage or flooding.
I live right in the back of the business, and I heard all the noise last night. And when I got up this morning and I came out, half of the roof was gone.
Terrible. Tell us what you've been doing since your discovery to help try to get things back to normal. I see you've got some plywood that you're trying to put up now.
That is right. I had to clean up all the debris, and I went and buy some plywood, and I'm trying to get the sheetrock on, the plywood on, so no rain could wet the stalk.
Although he didn't speak with the media, National Emergency Management Agency Director Stephen Russell was seen making a quick assessment of the damage in the Malcolm Road area today. Political hopefuls for the Bamboo Town and Golden Gates areas were also on the scene this morning.
The families were totally devastated just by being inside, and as you spoke with them this morning, you got the feeling that it was just a miracle that nothing actually happened to anybody inside those homes. And so as you can see, a lot of the trees were blown down. Several of the roofs were badly damaged, but like I said, thank God no lives were lost. So we're here this morning trying to see how we can assist the residents as much as possible. And we have emergency crews coming out now with some backhoes, some payloaders, big dump trucks, some flatbeds, trying to help the residents out. And as you can see, you have a good community effort going on here today.
What we're going to do, we're going to provide a dumpster and also see how we can assist in any way with those families that had damage.
The first thing I did was ask if anyone was hurt. That is more important than the damage of a house. Now we're going to assess everything, make sure get help in for them, and they'll be quite safe and sound. As you know, we deliver.
The other candidates have said what they intend on helping out with. Some are giving plywood, others dumpsters, Barco trucks. What is it that you are prepared to help out with?
Help out with anything. I'm not going to name off the items because right now the assessment has to be done professionally and in order.
There were also reports of severe damage on other parts of the island. If you look at this footage of a home on Calpan Road, you can see that the entire roof was torn off the structure. Residents in the Fox Hill community were also seriously affected by the storm.
And this storm also put a damper on a few political events. The FNM had to cancel its rally in Bimini because of the storm last night. Reporting for NB12, I'm Paige Ferguson.
Well, officials at the Department of Meteorology say they were monitoring the weather closely for the past few days and all through the night. Meteorologist and forecaster Wayne Neely explained just what happened last evening.
I haven't seen damages, but I spoke to several persons. Most of the persons seem to suggest it's either a minimum tornado or it's perhaps a microburst, what you call a microburst from a severe thunderstorm. We have a cold front that's coming in. Right now it's presently over central Florida, but ahead of the cold front we have what we call a shear line. A shear line, that's the line that went through last night, and that's where most of the thunderstorms and heavy rainfall that we had last night.
And as for claims that residents were not warned about the severe weather activity, Neely said the department predicted the storm last week and had been sending out updates and warnings since then. In fact, the last update on that weather system was sent out at 2 this afternoon.
We predicted it at Department of Meteorology from on Friday, and I did several interviews about this system that will have some significant amount of rainfall. That was on the forecast for Friday.
Okay, so it wasn't anything that surprised you all?
No, it didn't surprise us, no.
And with that shear line last night came a new weather record. A total of 4.36 inches of rain was recorded at Lynden Pindling International Airport during a 12-hour period last night.
The average is about 2.46 for the month of April. That significantly beat that average. And we also had a maximum rainfall in any given day on record that we had was 3.87. That occurred a while back, and that also beat that record. So we have a new record in terms of rainfall. And just out of interest, the average hurricane produces about 6 to about 8 inches of rainfall in a given day.
Neely reminds residents that spring is the beginning of the rainy season and we could see more thunderstorms. He encourages residents to pay close attention to weather forecasters for severe weather warnings. You can also stay on top of the weather by logging on to www.bahamasweather.org.bs. Well, that lightning, heavy downpour, and high winds were responsible for damage to some power lines on the Bahamas Electricity Corporation's distribution network. As a result, there were outages in several communities last night. BC advised its customers in New Providence today that it has restored supply to the majority of areas affected by the overnight weather system. Emergency crews were reportedly dispatched as soon as weather conditions improved, and the corporation brought in additional teams early this morning to expedite the restoration process. This afternoon, teams were working to restore supply in affected areas in sections of southern and eastern New Providence. Restoration was nearly complete in the area of Malcolm Road, which saw widespread outages as a result of the adverse weather conditions. Well, in other news, this election season, we've heard a lot from 3 major parties that all hoping to form the next government of the Bahamas after May 7th. And the mass rallies, street meetings, and thousands of party posters have seemed to drown out the other candidates not affiliated with the FNM, PLP, or DNA. Well, we spoke to 3 independent candidates who said they're making a big difference without party support. Craig Butler, Paul Moss, and Glenn Roll, independent candidates for Bamboo Town, Garden Hills, and Carmichael, respectively, are aiming to change the belief that candidates who are not affiliated with a political party do not have a voice. In fact, the trio says that independent candidates are better representatives because they're busy working for their constituents, while other candidates are busy taking orders from their party leaders and competing with opposing parties.
We have a voice. Their voice is whatever they are told to say. So they cannot stand up and say anything that is going to be of benefit because they must follow policy. And we see what happens now in our parliament is that if the government proposes something, the opposition opposes just for the sake of opposition.
The candidate says while on the ground, they hear many Bahamians complain about the lack of options. They claim many people are fed up with the Progressive Liberal Party and the Free National Movement, while others accuse the Democratic National Alliance of being the same type of party with a different name and a different color. They say independents are the better option.
People are so disaffected, there's such discontent, that they are not prepared to even go to the polls. So far from what people expect to be the highest voter turnout ever. Based on our own conversation, it may be perhaps the lowest.
Our role, our responsibility as a representative, not only to meet with them, but to see to what extent our policies facilitate what we call empowerment of the people. We've got to move away from the model that the government is an answer to everything. I believe by way of our independent candidates, we will ensure that the members of the community have a greater say in their governance.
And if you think that candidates need the support of a political party to get things done in their constituency, Roll says think again.
In Garden Hills, we are constructing a swimming complex to be instructive to teach people how to swim, particularly young children. We are establishing the Garden Hills Credit Union that would assist persons to get home ownership, business opportunities, and educational advancement. We have a burial fund in Garden Hills to assist persons who would need it at the time of death of a loved one. And we are Wi-Fiing the entire constituency. These are issues that people hold to themselves because they say that they cannot get that kind of conversation from the party.
Butler and Roll say they have also made many improvements to their areas with only the help of constituents. And while they're all confident that Bahamians will vote in their favor, they pledge to continue making a difference to their constituencies, whether they win or lose. The trio also challenged their opponents to a debate so that Bahamians can see who is more in touch with their constituents.